What? Yeah, I had to go speak to your corporal. I know him. I like him.
Are you like immunocompromised or anything? That's something.
Yeah, I am, but it's okay. I mean, I'm better. It's okay. No, no, you don't have to. I'm being, hey, Mr. Dinner.
No, my mom's been through that. I don't know where the.
Now you stop it.
I told the judge.
You're okay.
I'm rude for like.
You're okay. You don't have to be. I'm telling you, I know you. You've been through a lot. You all have, Lord. I thought it's peak your parents. But we don't have people here. No parents or anything, huh? Okay. Hmm. Mhm. Ooh. Pull your mask over your nose, please. Thank you. So if Lieutenant Hull or Officer Reyna, that's who you're gonna use for the evidence, right? The evidence, I'm sorry, the evidence tech, it's either gonna be.
Right,
Okay.
so I think I subpoenaed Paul, but he's in training, so they're gonna switch.
Right, okay, that's fine.
No big deal.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
Oh, yes.
I think I've seen you. So we're gonna have, for the exam, we're gonna have evidence tech, and we're gonna have, and then, corporal. So there's three witnesses.
All right.
Yes.
Parks now in session, the Honorable Lisa Martin.
You may be seated. Looks like we lost Mr. Denowith for half a second. I know he's here. Take your seat.
Thank you, Judge.
This is 210439FY, State of Michigan versus Omari Parker. May I have your appearances, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ben Dunaway, P742804, the people.
Judge, good afternoon to you and your staff. Lillian Diallo, P52036, on behalf of Omari Parker, who's present to my right, Your Honor. We are ready to proceed. We would ask for an order of sequestration.
State your name for me, please, sir.
Omari Parker.
Thank you. The defense motion for sequestration will be granted.
Your Honor, we'd ask for an exception for the officer in charge who is seated, or will be seated to my left.
Exception is to the OIC.
Okay, and then we'd also ask for.
Mr. Denowith, his name.
Oh, Roger Salwa, SALWA.
Thank you.
You'd also,
We'd also ask for an exception for the victim's mother. Today we'll be stipulating to her testimony. If there was a trial, she would only testify to identification of the victim's body at the Wayne County morgue. So her testimony would not be influenced by hearing anyone else. And we would ask for an exception for her.
Ms. Diallo.
Your Honor, I do not object to that. All she is an identifier, and what we have done is, we've stipulated to the identification here. If she becomes a necessary fact witness later on for what, if in case, I'll just have to take that one, Judge, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just for the record, her name is Shanita Gibson, spelled Chinita, last name Gibson, Gibson. And
Thank
then,
you.
Junior, you gotta wait outside for like 2 minutes. Our first witness is just leaving the courtroom. So prior to calling the people's first witness, I'm going to.
Mr.
move
Dinowith,
to-
give me 1 second,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
We're here this afternoon for a live preliminary examination. There is count 1, homicide, murder, first degree, premeditated. Count 2, assault with intent to murder. Count 3, assault with intent to murder. Count 4, weapons, felony firearm. Count 5, weapons, felony firearm. Count 6, weapons, felony firearm. And you were starting to say before you call your first witness?
Prior to calling my first witness, I will move to admit, as People's Exhibit number 1, case number 21-6389, reflecting the postmortem examination on the body of Dondre Corey Gibson dated May 23rd, 2021, comes in pursuant to MCL 76611B.
Well, Judge, if I could object, I would object.
It will be received.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people in the defense are also going to enter into the prior mentioned stipulation that Ms. Gibson did make it to the Wayne County morgue and identify her son's body for purposes of exam only.
Correct.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Any preliminary issues, Ms. Diallo?
No, ma'am.
Your first witness, sir. Ma'am, if you stop at the podium for me, please. And before we go any further, the court continues to stream these matters live on YouTube. If there are any persons who are currently viewing this matter who are witnesses this afternoon or could potentially be witnesses at any point in the future, you should stop watching the proceedings at this time. Ma'am, would you spell and state your first and last name?
Janira Hawkins, JANIRA
Ms. Hawkins, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you much. You come up here, have a seat in this purple chair for me, please. The court reporter will be taking down your testimony. If for some reason she can't hear you, I'll ask you to raise your voice or pull the microphone closer towards your mouth, okay? Mr. Dinowith, your witness.
Thank you, Judge. Miss, can you please tell us your name?
Janira, JANIRA Hawkins, HWKINS.
Thank you. Ms. Hawkins, I want to take you back to the date of May 22nd, 2021. Do you remember that day?
Yes,
Where were you living at the time?
at the Howard Johnson Hotel in Romulus, Michigan.
And is that in Wayne County?
Yes,
Do you remember the room number?
145.
And was anyone else living in that hotel room with you?
Me and my boyfriend, Dondre Gibson.
Now, on May 22nd, 2021, did there come a time in the early evening that Mr. Gibson left?
Yes,
Did he come back?
yes,
Was he alone when he came back?
no.
Who was with Mr. Gibson when he
He
came
had
back?
Amari with him.
Could you just use your outdoor voice?
He had Amari with him,
Okay. Do you know Omari's last name?
Parker.
Do you see Omari in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Can you please point out Omari and tell us what he's wearing?
he has the green jumpsuit on with dreads and glasses.
Does the fact that Omari is wearing a COVID mask interfere with your ability to identify him at all?
No,
And had you known Mr. Parker prior to May 22nd, 2020?
yes,
For how long?
about 4 years.
Okay, so you know what he looks like.
Yes,
Thank you. Judge, may the record reflect the identification of Omari Parker?
Yes, sir.
Did Mr. Gibson and Mr. Parker come into the hotel room?
Yes,
And approximately what time day did they come in?
about 7:30.
At night?
Yes,
Okay. Um, $11:30 at night, as in half an hour before midnight?
7:30 p.m.
7:30?
Yeah, 7:30 to 8 p.m. Yeah, around
Okay,
that time.
thank you. And was there anyone else in the hotel room besides the three of you?
No,
What's going on with the three of you in the hotel room?
they're conversating, and I have my back turned towards them. I'm doing my hair and makeup. 'Cause
Are you
we-
doing your hair and makeup for any reason?
Yes, we're going to the movies like at 9 o'clock to see it.
All three of you are gonna go see a movie?
Yes,
Okay. Does there come a time when you're in the hotel room that you hear something notable?
yes, they were conversating at first, and Amari kept asking Dondre for some.
I'm
Some-
sorry, could she, I can't hear, I can't understand what she's saying, if she could just speak
You
up a
just
little
really
bit.
use your outdoor
Okay.
voice.
Thank you.
They were conversating at first, having a normal conversation, it not nothing uncommon. And Amari kept asking Dondre for some ecstasy pills, and Dondre kept saying no. You know, that's my back was
Objection,
turned.
hearsay.
Okay, so I agree that it's hearsay as to what Mr. Gibson said. As to what Mr. Parker said, it's a statement of a party opponent.
Okay.
Is that a good location for you?
It's the best way, it's way better, I can see now.
Okay.
I see I can hear. Get over it. Okay.
Okay. Did you see anyone giving anyone any pills?
No,
Did this discussion of pills go on?
no, not really. They were conversating normally. And he kept asking him for ecstasy pills every now and again within the conversation.
Did there come a time when the gentlemen are talking that you heard something other than people talking?
Yes, I heard the gun rack behind my back, and I turned around, and Amari was pointing the gun at Dondre.
And are you familiar with guns?
Yes,
You know what a gun being racked sounds like?
yes,
You said Omari's pointing a gun at Dondre?
yes,
Are you familiar with that particular gun, the exact one that was in Omari's hands at the time?
yes.
How is it that you're familiar with that
It
gun?
was sitting on the bed prior to that. I saw it sitting on the bed prior to that.
I'm sorry, can you?
I saw the gun sitting on the bed prior to him pointing the gun at him.
You saw it.
hmm
Where did you see the gun?
It was sitting on the bed between Dondre and Amari.
Did you ever see it in anyone's hands prior to seeing it in Omari Parker's hands?
Not that day.
Okay, and whose gun is this?
It was mine.
After you see Omari point the gun at Dondre, what happens?
He started shooting at him like 15 times. I stood up and I started screaming. Amari pointed the gun at me while I was standing on the wall, and he tried to be about 7, 8 times. My body froze up, and I ran to the bathroom, and he shot out before me, behind me as well. And I ran to the bathroom, I closed the door, and he shot through the door as well, at least about 10 times.
Okay, let me,
I'm sorry, did she say 10 times?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
that's. Are you able to see Omari while he's shooting through the door?
No,
So
door was closed.
is your count of 10 based on something else?
It was just how many times he just shot, and it was a guess of how many shots, because it was so many.
Did any shots actually come through the door?
I didn't think it was at first. I didn't think I got shot. I didn't feel anything.
Did you later notice any injuries on your person?
Yes, I got grazed in my left thigh, my left upper thigh.
And grazed with a bullet?
Yes, right with the bullet.
Did you have, no other bullet wounds? though,
No,
Right?
no.
Did there come a time after those 10 shots approximately that the shooting stopped?
It stopped for a couple seconds and then I heard 4 or 5 more shots, rang off. And then I heard Amari pick up the phone and say, "Ma, I just killed Dondre."
Did you actually see Omari with a phone in his hand?
No, I just heard him, on the phone, like he was dialing the number
You
out.
could hear the beeps from the phone?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes,
And then he said, "Ma, I killed Dondre"?
yes.
What happened after that?
I heard the door opened and closed. I made sure he left the hotel room, and then everything was clear and safe to leave out. And then I left out and I closed and locked the door and I saw Dondre laying on the floor next to the bed.
And were you able to observe Dondre?
Yes.
And what was his condition?
When I saw him, when I first looked at him, his legs was bent backwards and he was laying on the floor and his eyes and mouth was, wide open, like that.
Did he appear to be alive?
No, he was not moving, he was not breathing. I called his name out and it was nothing.
Did you ever see Dondre with a gun in his hand?
Yes,
When was, at that day?
no, not that day.
Okay. That day, May 22nd, 2021, did you ever see Dondre with a gun in his hand?
He had the gun earlier that day before we even had made plans, but
So you said Omari and Dondre came back together around 7:30,
yep,
sometime like that. After Dondre and Omari were both present in the hotel room with you,
mhm.
did you ever see Dondre with a gun in his hand?
No, my back was turned towards them. I was doing my hair and makeup, getting ready to go out.
Did you ever see Dondre with a knife or any other type of
No.
weapon?
No,
Did you ever hear Dondre threaten Omari?
no.
No further questions for this witness.
Ms. Diallo.
Thank you. Now, my name is Lillian Diallo. I'm an attorney and I represent Mr. Parker.
Mhm,
If you do not understand something I've said,
mhm.
please let me know and I'll do my best to clear it up.
Okay,
If you give me an answer,
Mhm.
I'm gonna assume you understood the question.
Yes,
Is that fair?
yes,
Okay. So this happened, was it May 22nd, 2021, correct?
yes, yes.
All right, and let me just say, condolences for everybody,
Thank
right?
you.
But in any event, so this happens, and the gun that was used was a gun registered to you, correct?
Yes, yes.
How many guns did you have in that room that day?
Just that one.
Just that one?
Yes.
Okay, and you are aware that, the deceased could not legally own a gun,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay, so on 5/22/2021, you had seen the decedent with a gun earlier, right?
Yes, earlier, yes.
And is it fair to say that when Mr. Parker and the decedent were talking in this matter,
Mhm.
your back was turned,
Yes,
correct?
yes,
So I turned my whole back to you and I'm looking at the outside of the door,
yes,
like this?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you could not see what was going on behind you, correct?
Yes, right.
Is that correct?
Right, it's correct, yes.
Okay, all right. And let me ask you something. This all unfolded relatively quickly, did it not?
Yes, yes.
Like seconds, correct?
It was about 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, because I was, had my back turned on doing my hair and makeup. It
Right,
took a minute.
but, so there had been nothing amiss, and then all of a sudden,
Yes,
that's when something goes on.
yes,
You hear those shots,
yes,
and you run in that bathroom, don't
yes,
you?
yes.
And it's fair to say you don't know who had the gun first, second, last, you just know you heard some shots and you was gone.
I saw Amari with the gun pointing at Dondre and then pointing at me before I ran to the bathroom.
Okay.
So I know he was, shooting at him and me.
Okay, but prior to you seeing the gun in Omari's hand,
Mhm.
where was the gun?
Sitting on the bed.
Okay, and it's fair to say, you didn't see Mr. Parker come in there with the gun. did you?
Right.
Is
He
that-
did. He didn't come in the
Okay.
room with the gun.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Ms. Diallo, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, something going on.
No, nothing, but no, it's okay.
What happened? Oh, it's people in here.
Oh, it's okay. I just,
I didn't know.
no, if you were talking to your client, I would do the same thing. I'm sorry to interrupt your questioning.
All right, I'm sorry, I apologize, for that. What's your name? Is it
Hawkins.
Hawkins? I want
Yes.
to make sure I call you the right one.
Mhm.
Okay, so Ms. Hawkins, while you were present within the room, everything was going good, correct?
Yes.
We know Mr. Parker did not come there with a gun, correct?
Right.
Okay. And then you said you heard something about pills, correct?
Yes.
All right. Had you guys been popping pills that night?
They have.
They had, you
Yes.
said? You saw it with your own eyes?
I know that Amari was high when he came in the room.
How you know that?
He was telling me he was high up. He was high up other stuff. And
So
he'd been
wait a
up for
minute.
4 days.
Hold on, wait, that's okay. I just need to make sure I understand. So that we're clear. When you saw Omari enter the room,
Mm-hmm. I said, hey, he said, hey.
okay, hold on. When you saw him enter the room, you said, you looked at him and could tell something was wrong with
Yep.
him, right?
Yes.
Right? And so we're clear, you're not in a position, you just can kind of figure or
Mm.
think, right?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, but, so he comes in the room, something's clearly wrong with him, then what happens?
They started conversating, and he talking to me like, oh, hey, now, hey.
Wait,
And-
hold on, stop. I know pronouns is the big thing now, right? I'm still against pronouns.
Mhm.
So who started talking?
Amari said hi
Okay.
to me and I said hi to him.
Okay, good. You could just use names, you
Okay,
make it so
cool.
much cleaner for the
Gotcha.
transcript. All right, still nothing amiss. It's good enough for you to turn your back, correct?
Right.
All right, and you didn't hear anything?
No arguing, no out of the ordinary, conversation. It was they're norm. So I'll just, didn't pay no mind doing my hair and makeup.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So you don't know, you haven't seen Omari take any kind of substance in front of you, had you?
Prior to that, yes.
You did?
Yes.
What was it?
Not that day.
No,
but-
just that day.
Nope, he didn't take any drugs that day. But
How about your boyfriend? Had you seen him ingest anything that day?
not that day.
Okay, that's fine. All right, and from all accounts, there was nothing going on before the gun starts going off that
No.
you know of, right?
No, it was nothing. They was conversating just normal.
Yeah, but I guess the question is, why is the gun even on the bed?
He just had it sitting there. Donja just had it sitting there.
Okay, all right. And so we're clear, was that the only gun that was registered to you that particular day?
Yes.
No other gun?
No.
Okay. And you bought this gun when?
I don't remember.
You know, a city maybe you bought it in?
Taylor.
Taylor?
Yes.
Okay. And so we're clear, and I'm gonna sit down and not too long from now. You're saying the gun that was on the bed was where the decedent had the gun? right?
Yes,
He
yes.
would keep a gun with him?
Yes, on the bed. He was sitting on the bed. And
Okay.
it was out.
So that-
It was out, it was
Oh,
out.
sure, close to him, right?
Yes.
Okay. So something happens and all of a sudden, boom, 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 right?
Yes.
And this is one of those guns that rapid fire, isn't that right?
Yes.
Yep. Do you know if the gun had been altered to make it a fully automatic gun?
No, I don't know.
You don't know, but it's just rapid fire, right?
Yes, I didn't know it was an extended clip in there, like maybe 30 rounds, if that. I know it's a lot.
Okay, any further questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Hawkins, thank you for your testimony this afternoon. You may step down, ma'am. Are you chewing gum? I have to beat him. I swear. Stop here at the podium for me, please. State your first and last name and then spell it for me.
Byron Paisley, Byron, Paisley, Paisley.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Would you come up here and have a seat in this purple chair, please? Mary Ann is recording your testimony this afternoon. If for some reason she's having trouble hearing you, I might ask you to either raise your voice or move the microphone closer to your mouth, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Dinowith, your witness.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, what is your name?
Byron Paisley,
Can you spell that for us, please?
Byron, Paisley.
Thank you. And sir, how are you employed?
At the time, I was employed with the Romulus Police Department.
Well, okay, let me ask you, how were you employed on May 22nd, 2021?
Romulus Police Department,
And were you working that day?
yes.
Did you have any specific assignment or job?
I was on patrol.
Okay. Did you make the scene of a Speedway gas station in the city of Romulus, County of Wayne?
Yes.
Where specifically is that gas station at?
It's on Merriman Road. It's just off the 94 freeway, like north of 94 freeway.
And did you go to that area for a specific reason on that day?
Yes.
What were you doing?
We had got a report via dispatch that a subject had been shot at the Howard Johnson's motel.
And were you looking for a person, an object, or anything else?
Well, actually, once we got in the area,
I'm sorry, could you tell me who we is? I'm so sorry.
I'm
We.
sorry,
We.
um,
Who is we?
it was another gentleman that was in a separate car. His name is Officer Schwabel.
Oh, Schwab. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So he's in a different car?
Yes.
Do you have a partner in your car?
No. And so we were in the area. Dispatch was giving us updates about what was going on, and we wind up going to the Speedway gas station, looking for the possible suspect.
Did you encounter anyone notable at the Speedway gas station?
Dispatch gave out a description,
Okay.
and we actually saw a
And did you see
gentleman.
anyone in the vicinity of the gas station that matched that
Yes,
description?
yes,
Did you have contact with that person?
I did.
And were you still in your car at the time you had contact?
No, I got out my car and approached him.
Okay. Did you speak to this person or did they speak first?
Actually, I asked him how he was doing.
How are they doing?
How was he doing? Yes,
Okay. And are you out of the car at that point?
I am.
Are you, can you tell us where you are, like the parking lot inside the store? or-
Well, actually, we're out in the parking lot, and that day the gas station was crowded, and so we parked our cars. I got out the car and approached the suspect.
Did this person respond to the question, how you doing?
He did.
What did he say?
He stated basically blurted out it was self-defense.
Anything else?
At that time, that was all he said that I heard.
Did you say anything after this person said it was self-defense?
I actually patted him down after I realized, okay, this is who we're looking for. I pat him down and cuffed him. And Officer Schwabel took him and put him in his patrol unit.
Okay, so. Do you recall Mr. Parker saying anything about shooting anyone else?
Objection leading.
No, I don't recall
Oh,
him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Paisley, not Mr.
I would say it doesn't suggest the answer. It's a yes or no question, but it doesn't suggest whether or not it happened.
What happened next?
Overrule, I'm going to overrule the objection. You may answer the question.
I'm sorry, what was it? What was the question?
Do you recall Mr. Parker saying anything about shooting anyone else?
I don't recall him saying nothing about shooting anyone else, no.
Would looking at the investigator's report refresh your recollection?
Actually, I have a copy of my report right here.
You have a copy?
Yes.
Can you just read that and let me know if that refreshes your recollection?
Can I see what report he has? Can I just want to see his report?
Yes, you may approach the witness.
Oh, did I have my copy?
You asked. That's why I'm saying yes, just so we're clear.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Ms. Diallo, it hasn't been that long.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
Corporal Paisley, at the gas station, does Mr. Parker say anything other than it was self-defense?
Yes, he basically said he was about taking us to the gun. He was gonna take us to the gun.
I'm sorry, what's that?
He said he was gonna take us to the gun.
Okay. And you told us before he was put in a police car.
Yes. Officer Schwabel placed him in the back of his police car.
Did that officer drive somewhere?
Yes,
Did you go with them?
I did. I followed him.
And where did the two police cars go?
We went to the front of the Howard Johnson's motel.
And when you got there, did Mr. Parker say anything else?
He told us to stop at some bushes. It's some bushes or shrubs out in front of the hotel, and he said the gun was in the shrubs.
Did you ask him any questions?
I didn't ask him. No,
Did the other officer there ask any questions?
not that I'm aware of. He was in his car. I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you look at these bushes?
I did.
Did you find anything notable?
I found a Glock handgun with it had a light on the front and an extended magazine.
What is an extended magazine?
Extended magazine is a magazine that's not made necessarily by the factory. When you buy the gun, it's made like an aftermarket magazine that can hold a lot more extra rounds.
Okay. Did this gun and or magazine have any live rounds left?
No, the gun was empty.
And did you put the firearm on evidence?
Actually, I took some pictures of it, and I did place it on evidence. Actually, I took it back to the police department and turned it over to Detective Otter. That was it.
And that person put it on it.
Yes.
Okay. Nothing else for this witness.
Thank you, Ms. Diallo.
Oh, Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You may step down, sir. Thank you for your testimony this afternoon.
Thank you.
Your next witness, sir. Step right here at the podium. State your first name, first and last name,
Christopher Reyna,
and spell it for us, please.
Christopher.
Raise your, I'm sorry.
Reyna is Reyna.
Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you much, sir. Come up here and have a seat in this purple chair. Mary Ann is recording your testimony this afternoon. If for some reason she's unable to hear you, I'll ask you to either raise your voice or move the microphone closer to your mouth. You're a witness, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, could you please tell us your name
It's Chris Reyna.
and how are you employed?
I am a police officer with the Romulus Police Department.
And do you have some specialized job or title?
Yes, I am trained as an evidence technician.
Were you working in that capacity on May 22nd, 2021?
I was.
And did you make a scene of 28504 Cherry Avenue in Romulus, Michigan? Well, did you make it to a Howard Johnson hotel in Romulus,
On
Michigan?
foot, yes,
Okay. And was that in the evening hours of the 22nd of May?
yes.
What was your purpose in going to the Howard Johnson?
To work as an evidence technician on scene. We had been informed of the situation on scene.
And what was the scene?
It was a homicide.
Was it like the whole motel or?
I mean, it was just specifically one room that we were called to.
Okay. Did you make it to that room?
Yes,
Do you recall the number?
I do not recall the numbers.
Was looking at the investigator's report, refresh your recollection.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna show
Wait a
him
minute,
the
hold
bottom
on.
of page
Hold on,
2.
no, I would object us to looking at that. Hold on.
Mr.
Object us to the investigator's report. Yes, he is, isn't it? Yeah, it tells you where the room, I would just give, where the room number is.
Okay, with looking
We're
at-
just agreeing to what the room number is.
No?
Okay,
we
you're
are.
giving him the report.
I would object to that, but it's okay, we can say it's room 145, it's the Howard Johnson, right? That's what he was gonna say, right? Go ahead, we'll stipulate.
Yeah, it's 145.
145, yeah, we'll
Okay,
stipulate.
Is what the defense attorney just said, refresh your recollection, is the room number?
Yes,
What room were you gonna?
140.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what did you see when you got to room 145?
As we walked in the room, first thing we noticed was a black male laying on the floor next to the bed. As we continued, there was totes of bags, which had clothes. As we continued, we located shell casings, we located fragments from bullets, bullet holes throughout the room. As we continued, we located more bullet holes inside where the bathroom was, and inside the door of the bathroom, and then inside the bathroom itself.
So how many casings did you locate?
So there wasn't, I don't have the exact number written down unless if I to just look and from my recollection. real
Would it
quick,
refresh
just
your
'cause
recollection to
I
what?
don't have like a number total, we document each individual item, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I wrote it down, we have located 27 spent shell casings to a 9
Officer,
millimeter. Yes,
read your report. If it refreshes your recollection, then turn it face down on the witness stand.
so,
You can't read from it.
okay.
Not
So
yet.
Judge, I wrote it down on my notepad because.
See, I can't see you, so I couldn't tell
Yep.
what you, thank you.
Yeah, I wrote it, because we individually put each piece of evidence in there, and then. it
Stop
was
for
not
1
like a
second.
specific count.
Judge, I'm gonna object as to who we, I need to know what he did, right? And if there's a compilation somewhere, other than on a piece of paper that I wanna look at too, then, you know, I would just ask that maybe he stick to what he did at this particular time. Unless he did something more that I don't know about.
I think,
So I can, as far as we, I mean myself and the other evidence technicians, sir.
so, you had a partner with you, right?
I did.
And that is Lieutenant Hall?
Captain Hall.
Okay. Are you actually the one that put the casings on evidence or your partner?
To be honest with you, sir, we worked hand in hand with it. We were together the entire time as far as the evidence processing. It was for each individual piece of item, it would have been one of us.
Okay, so if it's got someone's name on the police report, it's, would you say it's not necessarily accurate? It just means one of the two you recovered it, or?
To be, so I don't recall exactly if it was either myself that did each piece of item, sir, or it was my partner, Captain Hall. I just can't recall that exactly on that specific day if I sealed each piece of evidence or if my partner did. We were well into the night because of how large the scene was. I don't have a recollection of exactly who sealed each piece of evidence.
Do you recall, how many casings were recovered by you and your partner combined?
If I can just take a quick look at my notes, I can.
Would looking at your notes refresh your recollection?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Hold on 1 second, officer.
Your medical, just wanna see what he's looking at.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, you may. Of course you may.
It's my handwriting. They might just document it as I took a look a second ago. My handwriting's terrible.
Thank you.
No problem.
May answer the question, sir.
27 spent shell casings from 9 millimeters, sir.
okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna hand you 3 photographs that I've marked as people's proposed exhibits 2, 3, and 4. Can you take a look at the top one marked people's proposed number 2 and tell us what that is?
So these are what we believe to be bullet holes coming from, which would be the south side. The bullet holes would have been coming from the south side of the room, entering into the north wall, which then entered into the bathroom door and then exited out into the bathroom. And these are what we use as trajectory rods to show the trajectory of the path of the bullet.
Did any bullets actually go through the door?
We located fragments inside of the bathroom, yes.
Okay, is people's proposed number 2 a fair and accurate depiction of what the bathroom door looked like when you were there on May 22nd, 2021?
Yes, sir.
Move to admit people's number 2.
Without objection.
Should be received.
And can you just turn that upside down and tell me, is number 3 next in the pile?
Yes.
What is people's proposed number 3 a picture of?
Same as 2. Bullet holes coming from the south side of the room, entering into the north wall of the hotel room, going into the restroom door, and then, or I'm sorry, the restroom door, and then exiting into the restroom.
Is
And
that
then
fair and
the-
accurate?
Yes.
Move to admit people's number 3.
No objection.
It's received.
And what is people's proposed number 4?
This is the restroom door when it was closed. Bullet holes entering from the east side of the room, entering from the west, or entering through the west towards the inside of the restroom. And then the orange poles or orange rods were again used to show the trajectory of the bullet.
And is that fair and accurate depiction?
Yes, sir, it is.
Move to admit people's proposed number 4.
Without objection.
It's received.
Did you recover any actual firearms from room 145?
I did not myself,
Okay. Do you know if your partner did?
my partner.
Do you know if any other Romulus police officers recovered firearms from that room?
We were advised that a
I'm
firearm
gonna
had,
object this to hearsay. Hearsay,
Okay, that's hearsay.
speculation.
Did you at any time see
The
any
objection
fire-
is sustained. I'm sorry.
Did you at any time see any other firearms in room 145? Or any firearms at all in room 145?
not firearms, sir.
Nothing else for this witness?
Ms. Diallo.
Just briefly, and good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
All right, so was there another magazine that was recovered in that room?
Yes, ma'am.
How many magazines were recovered in the room, if you know?
I'd have to look back at my report, ma'am. Unfortunately, we collected like 73 pieces of evidence. I'd have to look back at my report.
Okay, so now with this thing that says Romulus Police Department Crime Scene Evidence Log, is that what you're looking for?
Yes, ma'am.
Permission to approach, Judge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You can let me know. Look up when you get down.
Okay. You're missing,
Oh, sure am. Don't pay any attention to my notes now.
no worries, I won't even read them.
I'll look at your name.
It appears we collected, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Yes.
You finished with that?
yes.
Commissioner?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
As the prosecution.
Want me to bring it to you? Yeah. So how many did you recover altogether?
3 total, ma'am.
3 magazines.
Yes.
And the 3 magazines you recovered, how many of them were loaded? If you know, well, that's okay. Is it fair to say at least one was loaded, correct? You don't know?
Ma'am, I'd have to look back at my notes.
Please.
Commissioner, here, you just go ahead and keep that.
Yeah, there was a lot of evidence on this scene, I apologize. There was one loaded, ma'am, that we
Just-
collected.
I'm sorry, say that again?
There was one loaded that we collected,
Okay, and what was the caliber of that, if you know?
9mm.
All right. And it's fair to say that you weren't in the room, so you're not a direct eyewitness, correct?
Correct.
You were cataloging the evidence, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And please don't think I'm being silly, but you don't know how many guns were present before you got there, correct?
Correct.
All right. Permission to approach, Judge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I don't have another question for you, and good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Any redirect, sir?
No, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Officer Randall, you may step down. Thank you for your testimony, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
The people have no further evidence.
Ms. Diallo,
Yes?
any witnesses?
Oh, no.
Argument, Mr. Dinwiddie.
Your Honor, the people are asking the court to bind over on counts 1, 2, 4, and 5. Counts 3 and 6 were not made out. So I submit to the court that Janira Hawkins is a credible witness, and she told you the defendant shot the victim multiple times and then shot her through the door of the bathroom. And shooting someone through the door of the bathroom, I think, shows his intent to kill her for the AWIM. The number of bullets you heard, the evidence tech testified there was 5 rounds found in the bathroom. The pictures of the bullet holes in the door were admitted. The multiple shots trying to kill her shows the intent to kill there. But then Ms. Hawkins said, Mr. Parker on his way out shoots the decedent 3 or 4 more times. That would be premeditation. And I'd also argue to the court, the premeditation as to the deceased, Mr. Gibson, is shown in the medical examiner's report. Mr. Gibson was shot 19 times, or they say he has 19 gunshot wounds, including 5 to the head. So, you know, Judge, if he's firing the gun 19 times, he can come with premeditation just in that amount of time. And I would submit to the court that's enough. But Ms. Hawkins says, DeAndre Gibson is shot multiple times, defendant shoots through the bathroom door multiple times, and then again shoots DeAndre Gibson 3 to 4 times. So premeditation, he's got time to think about it during all of this. And then the court heard from Officer Paisley, the defendant admits to being the shooter. So Janira Hawkins' account is confirmed by the defendant himself. He admits to being the shooter, but says it's self-defense. Then defendant takes the police to the gun, indicating his knowledge. And you heard it's an extended magazine and it's empty. And I think the gun being empty, I think, is crucial here. He basically shoots until he can't shoot anymore. He empties the clip. I think that shows the intent to kill as well. He put 19 rounds in Mr. Gibson, but he probably would have put more if he would have had them. And that's a felony firearm. So after defendant's arrested, he shows the police where the gun is. The evidence techs respond. And you heard the testimony of the amount of shell casings recovered. Corroborates Janira Hawkins again. She's a credible witness. And the number of rounds fired, again, is evidence of premeditation. It's a lot of rounds fired, a lot of rounds hit the decedent. And then the pictures were also admitted through the evidence tech, which corroborates Janira Hawkins again. She's credible on that point. And she actually told the court she's hit with a bullet. She described it as a graze wound. But I think the defendant's intent to kill her is pretty clear when you look at this bathroom door and all the bullet holes in it. And the only final thing I would argue to the court, it did come in through P.O. Paisley that the defendant claimed self-defense. The medical examiner's report indicates that there's no soot or gunpowder stippling around the wounds. So I'd argue to the court that he's not shooting from close range. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Okay, so Judge, I think I'm gonna have to maybe object to something Mr. Dinowitz said regarding the young lady saying that Mr. Parker, she saw Mr. Parker shoot 4 times. I didn't hear that. But you know, it's just argument, but let's understand. So I agree with Mr. Dinowitz on counts 3 and 6, right? As there has not been a show rather, that these particular crimes were committed. What I'm going to ask, Your Honor, if you will indulge me, we did hear something about self-defense, right? I would submit that second-degree murder may be the better fit because it all happens very quickly. And I'm going to give you the elements of second-degree murder as we argue. Mr. Parker will be charged with homicide, right? We do understand that allegedly, from a prima facie showing, that he allegedly killed the decedent, right? Because we have someone saying, hey, it's self-defense. Now, here's where we have to really agree and understand. Second, that the defendant had one of these 3 states of mind. We heard from the young lady who testified that Mr. Parker appeared not to be in his right self. Something was wrong with him on that particular day, right? So even if, and this is the elements for second-degree murder, 3 states of mind: intended to kill, intended to do great bodily harm to the decedent, and or knew that the risk of great bodily harm or death could occur during his actions, Judge. I know it was a lot of shots, Judge. I do appreciate that, but 1 shot versus 100 shots, right? If you're in the middle of what you feel is a battle, right? And you're saying it's self-defense, right? And it's a gun that shoots, from what we heard the young lady say, relatively quickly, that can, that does happen. So just because And I'm not being flippant. There were 40 shell, 30 shell. That doesn't necessarily go to me, to intent to kill. And I think second-degree murder would be a better fit. Thank you, Judge.
Judge, I think the number of shells really just corroborates Janira Hawkins and matches up with what she says as far as defendant shoots the victim, defendant shoots Janira Hawkins through the door of the bathroom, and then the defendant goes back and puts 3 or 4 more rounds in the victim. That's the best evidence of his premeditation. He's got time to think while he's trying to kill the witness, which, you know, that also evidences his guilty mind when he's trying to take out the witness. I think fleeing the scene too shows that he has a guilty mind. I'd ask the court to bind over on 1, 2, 4, and 5. Thank you.
The court has had the opportunity to listen to the witnesses this afternoon, and although the photos and the medical report were received, the court has not viewed them, but I'll take the attorneys at their word that they depict what they are alleged to depict. The plaintiff has conceded that they did not make out the elements for count 3 and count 6, so those counts will be dismissed. As to counts 1, 2, 4, and 5, Ms. Hawkins' testimony is that there were 3 people in the hotel room: Mr. Gibson, Mr. Parker, and Ms. Hawkins. There's no dispute that Mr. Gibson is deceased, that the bullets were 15 shots and then 8 through the bathroom door and then 4 to 5 by Mr. Parker on his way out of the hotel room. It's the court's finding that the people have met their burden as to count 1, murder, first degree premeditated, count 2, assault with intent to murder, as to Ms. Hawkins by the mere fact that the gun was shot, the bullets were shot through the door of the bathroom. You have the felony firearm as to Mr. Gibson, count 4, and count 5, felony firearm as to Ms. Hawkins. Mr. Parker will be bound over again on 1, 2, 4, and 5. The next date in these proceedings will be the arraignment on the information. That will be February 18, 2022 at 9 a.m. at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. Is there anything else in this matter, Mr. Denowith?
No, thank you, Judge.
Nothing further, Judge, from me.
Thank you, Ms. Diallo.
You're welcome.
That concludes this afternoon's proceeding.
Judge, the one thing that I just want Mr. Parker and his parents, whoever's in here, it's gonna be in person next week. So me and Mr. Denowith are gonna have to be physically present at Frank Murphy. You knew that, right? We have to be present physically in Frank Murphy. They don't let us zoom in if they're in custody. You know that, right?
He might know that. I don't know that.
I'm just letting you know, that's why I had a little giggle. It's like, we'll be there, we'll see each other again.
Can we cut the record off? I don't want to hear that. I'm gonna be on Zoom.
Oh. Oh, never mind, Judge.
But I'll say this, Mr. Denowith. The information in this courtroom has been that in custodies are a week later, out of custodies are 2 weeks later. What happens once we sign the MIT and they leave this building? I have no idea in custody or, in Zoom or in person. So Ms. Diallo's statements regarding that they're news to me.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Oh, stop it.